So in Cucumber, we already discussed earlier, like we have different keywords like feature, scenario, and given when then statements. So these are all the different Cucumber keywords which we will use in writing feature files and the scenarios. So there is one more keyword called scenario outline. So your scenario is, for example, if you have written one scenario and you have only single set of test data that you need to perform testing with that only that particular test data, then you have to choose scenario syntax. For example, if you wanted to try to log in with different credentials, like for example, I'm trying to log in with multiple test users, whether I am able to log in with any of the users and username and password successfully. So instead of writing, for example, I have 10 test users, and each and every user would have different username and password, right? So if
Yes.
I wanted to check whether those 10 users are working fine, so I have to write this particular scenario 10 times, right?
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, so Cucumber provides another example, that is nothing but scenario outline. So scenario outline, the keyword for writing scenario outline is scenario outline. So you can give the name of the scenario what you are trying to do here. Verify login functionality for multiple users.
Okay. So here keyword is outline, right, Mahesh? For
Yeah, yeah. Scenario outline is the keyword.
okay.
So in interviewer, if you will get a question like this. So I wanted to test a single scenario, but with multiple sets of test data. So they will ask you in which way you will handle that in Cucumber. So your answer
Okay.
should be, I'll write a scenario outline feature with the examples keyword. Inside that example keywords, I'll pass the test data. So that
Okay.
way, my scenario will execute with the different sets of test data. For example, I have 10 different sets of test data. So this particular scenario outline will execute 10 times. For each iteration, it will pick the test data from the first row to the 10th rows.
Okay. So this keyword is applicable for not only for login but also for other functionalities as well, right, Mahesh?
Any functionality.
Okay.
So for example, you have a registration functionality. So that registration functionality also you have to check with multiple test data. Okay. So
Okay.
in that case, you can go and choose the scenario outline.
Okay. Fine.
Only just remember, if you have the you have to repeat the same process. Only difference is the test data. So in that case, you can go for scenario outline. So you
Okay.
are
Okay.
you are performing the same action, but the input data that you are passing into the application will be different for each.
Different. Yeah.
So in that case, you can go with the scenario outline.
Okay.
So for our example, since we don't have multiple test users, but I'm just giving you an example how we can write this particular scenario outline. So we already have a login functionality test case for one user, right?
Yeah.
Single user. So I wanted
Yes.
to convert the same scenario for multiple users. So in order to convert this into multiple users, so I have to give examples keyword. So it is giving some error, right? If you hover on it, what is the error?
Yeah.
Examples section is
Example
missing.
section.
So we need to add example section below that. Examples.
Okay.
So under that examples, you have to pass. For example, these are the details that we are. This is the test data that we are giving to the this scenario. So what is this? This is the username. So we need to specify that in angular brackets. And similarly, password. So here we have to pass the test data. For example, in Excel sheet, how you will maintain if you have 10 different users. So I'll just give you an example. For example, I have normally how people will store the data. So they will give a header for the headers, like what is the header of that value, right?
Yeah.
Password. Okay. User
Yes.
one. So this is the way how the test data will be maintained for different scenarios, right?
Okay.
So these are called headers. Username and password are headers, right? And these are the test data. For example, you might have 10 different users like this.
Yeah.
So I wanted to check my login functionality with 10 different users.
Okay.
So how we have written in Excel, similarly, we have to write in our feature file. Only difference is it should have an examples keyword, and instead of in Excel we will have a cells, but in feature file we have to create cells using pipe symbol like this. Okay,
Type symbol.
pipe
Okay.
symbol. We call it as pipe symbol. So inside that, first row we have to give the heading. What is this? Username is the header.
Mhm.
And similarly, the second header is password. So these are the my headers. And under that, if I wanted to verify this particular scenario with 10 different users, I have to give 10 different users credentials. So those should be enclosed enclosed with
Yes.
pipes.
Okay.
Okay. So likewise, you can give n number of test data for this test case. For example, I have
Okay.
given here 5 different test data. Okay. So if I
Okay.
try to run this particular scenario, the same scenario will execute 5 times because
Five
I
times.
have five different sets of test data.
Yes.
So since I don't have any other test users, so I'm using the same test user 5 times. But if you have some other test users, maybe you would have some different test users, right? Do you,
Yeah.
do you,
So we can
you
put the
can just
data here and we can write anything.
yeah.
Okay.
And in order to format this feature file to display neatly, so there is a shortcut called, you just have to select all this text,
Okay.
Control Alt L. So it will format neatly, like the pipe symbol and the spaces will be automatically
Oh,
added to that particular sentence. If you wanted to format the entire feature file, same way, just Control A, it selects all, then Control Alt L.
Alt. Okay.
So it will format your feature file.
Okay. So I think it got executed.
Yeah, it is executing.
Mhm.
What is this? Verify
Okay.
user should see.
To see it records.
We have already implemented that, right?
Yeah. You have given data, right? 100 records.
Okay, okay. This is
Mm.
just for example purpose. I have added this. I think we don't have added any implementation. And that day I have showed if it is an integer argument, how we have to pass to the step definition.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is not relevant to this test case. So maybe we can remove that. Just stopping it. So the same scenario will execute 5 times. Only thing is the test data we are passing the same since we only have one, but you can change that test data.
But username and password has been entered automated, Mahesh.
Yeah, yeah. So you will
Okay. So if
sir?
we give different data, suppose,
Huh.
so first data will be first automated, then automatically it will close
Second,
or else it.
it will automatically close for the first instance and then open a new instance.
Oh,
But
okay.
it is like you are executing 5 different scenarios, but with the with the help of only this single scenario. Like you are
Oh,
executing 5 times. You don't have to write. For example, if you go with this approach, you would have 5 different scenarios, and each scenario would have different test data, right?
yes.
So instead of doing that, we are adding the same. The implementation is same, only the data is different. That's why we are passing that test data here.
Okay.
you can also see the results here. And I'll also show the test report once it is completed, how you will see the test report for if you are using scenario outline. I think this is, I'll just expand it. So yeah, you can see the how it displays each example. See, this is our main scenario, verify login functionality for multiple users. And this is with the first example. And then second, third iteration, fourth iteration, and fifth iteration. So 5 times this particular test case will executed with the different sets of test data. And if you go to the test report, you will see a difference. Like if it is a normal scenario, it won't. It just replaces the username and password in the feature file. But if you go to the report of this, you will see a tabular format, and for each iteration, it will show the result.
Okay.
What happened? It is not refreshed.
It's not reflecting.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We have not executed this with the runner file. So if you are directly trying to run this, Cucumber will not generate any test report because the report generation part we have kept under test runner file. So if you are trying to run the same scenario with the help of test runner, then only you will get the test report. If you are
Okay.
right? So if you are directly trying to run the scenario from the feature file, it will not generate any test report. So we will see once by adding a tag for our example. So this is our example, right? So I'll give an tag for this scenario. What is that? Multiple data, multiple test data. So this is the tag. So I'll copy this test data, sorry, tag, and put it in test runner file. So I'll just remove this the previous result. So final iteration is running. So
Yeah.
okay, now we will see the test report.
Yeah.
See,
Got.
it got
Yes.
appended whatever the test data that we have passed, and it for each time it will replace the username with the that particular iterations test data.
Yeah.
And then we have something called cucumber hooks in testng. If you remember, we have some annotations called at the rate before and at the rate after. So if
Yeah.
you right, if you wanted to perform some setup test, some part of code repeatedly before starting execution of any test case, we will put that particular piece of code in before step. And after my test case execution is completed and I wanted to clean up the instances, I will use at the rate after in test ng. So in similarly, Cucumber also support the same mechanism. So we call them as cucumber hooks. Hooks, HOOKS.
Okay.
So in cucumber hooks, we already have a class that is common steps. So in this common steps class, we have written these tags at the rate before and at the rate after. So in before, we are creating a driver object, driver equal to new Chrome driver. So the same way how we have did in test-ng. The only difference is this tag is supported by Cucumber, io.cucumber.java. And
Okay.
right, in similarly in after step, previously what we have done, after my test execution is completed, I wanted to close my browser instance.
Yeah.
Driver.quit is the method which is used to close my browser. Right. So here we have added in a code to add a screenshot to the my report. For example, my test case is got failed due to some reason, and I am taking a screenshot with the help of this particular line. So this is also an important interview question. So interviewer will ask you in Selenium how you can capture a screenshot. So you can answer like so take screenshot is a class. So for that class, I will cast my driver object, and then this is the method get screenshot as. So this is the
Okay.
class. Take screenshot is a class. Your answer should be with the help of take screenshot method. Sorry, take screenshot is a class, and that particular class supports a get screenshot as a method. So with this method, I can pass different arguments. For example, if I given output type dot bytes, bytes means it will give the return as in bytes format. And if I selected this as file, so it will generate a screenshot in file format. So
Okay.
right, so based on whatever the value that we are passing here, it will change accordingly. So we'll see how many types of it supports. So there are base 64, file, and bytes. These are the three
But
different types. This particular class will generate a image. So file is nothing but uh, normal screenshot images like .png, .svg,
okay.
right? File
Yeah.
after Selenium takes a screenshot, it will generate a file. So instead of that, if you wanted to have in base64 format, so it will give you some encoded string in base64. If you encode in normally, if you go to the Chrome, there are some options like Chrome, sorry, convert base64 to image. So whatever that Selenium code returns a base64, and you wanted to see that particular, you will just copy that base64 string here, and if you click on decode, it will give you the
Okay.
image what it is captured. So
Like, how can we get that code merged then for base 64?
yeah, I'll show you that. Okay. So for example, we'll try to fail one test case so that you will understand. Banking login. Uh, for now, just ignore all other test data. Will run only for one iteration.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll try to run the same in debug mode, and I have put a debugger point here so that I can execute my test case in a line by line fashion. And if I wanted to fail this particular line, I will purposefully fail this scenario. How I can fail us. So here
You
I'm
can as
expecting,
it false.
I'll change it to false. Okay. So I'm going to test runner. So what is the error here? What is that error? Okay. So for now I'll give in base 64 and I'll store that in string variable. Maybe I'll keep this as it is. So first example is in base 64 string image image in base 64 equal to. So you can copy the same code, take screenshot method and cast it to the driver. And this is the method, get screenshot. Only difference is, so earlier you have captured with the help of bytes. Now we have to add this as base 64.
Okay.
So now we are good. I'll try to run in debug mode. Still, what is the error? Okay, okay. So just ignore this for now. See, if you evaluate this, scenario dot is failed. Since we have purposefully failed this test case, this particular method should return a true value because it is failed.
Yeah.
See, this the result is true. That's why it will go into the inside of this if condition. So I'll put a breakpoint here as well. Next. So after you execute this particular line, you will get a string in a base 64 format. So we need to copy that base 64 value. So if you print this image in base 64, okay, okay. We have to declare this string in outside. Okay. The scope of this variable is within this block. So that's why you don't have any access to the value of it. So we have to declare this in outside. Let me quickly rerun it again.
Okay.
So I'll just copy this particular method and execute. See, the result is in some encoded string. So this
Yeah.
is nothing but a base 64 format. So if you copy this particular string, uh, copy value and paste that value here. So because we are trying to convert the base 64 format into image,
Image.
decode,
Oh, okay.
okay, decode base 64 to image. So it will give me an image and where exactly it is failed. So that particular screenshot should return. Yeah, so you got the screenshot, right? Guru 99 demo site. This is the
Yeah.
scenario that we execute, and it is saying, so whenever the test case is failed, the test case is failed on this particular screen. Okay,
Okay.
so this is the use of having a sorry, getting a screenshot, and in order to attach this particular screenshot to the report. So we'll go back to the previous code. So in order to attach the images to the report, we have to capture that in bytes format. So I'm reverting the code to the back. I mean, I'm on the earlier code. Yeah. So this is the method to capture the screenshot in bytes format. And after I got the shot, I'm attaching that particular bytes to the report. So scenario dot attach. So it will automatically attach the failure screenshot to the report. So this time I'll just remove the previous report. Delete. I'll normally execute this scenario, and anyway this scenario would fail, and we'll see how the report is getting generated.
Okay.
Here manager link is not visible after login. So this is failed here, and
Yeah.
then here embedding verify login functionality for major. So you can also see a log. So what it is trying to do, it is trying to embed the screenshot to the report. So if you go to the report, open in browser Chrome. See, in the report itself, it captured the screenshot, and you can see the
Yeah.
screenshot where in which screen my test case got failed.
Oh, okay.
So this is the use of taking screenshot and embed those screenshot to the report.
Okay.
And then, so we have we call these as cucumber hooks. So in cucumber hooks, it also supports something called tagged hooks. Tagged hooks is nothing but we have tags for our scenarios, right? So for example, I wanted to execute this particular piece of code only when my scenario is having a tag.
Okay.
For example, let me get the example tagged hooks in Cucumber. No, 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 no. Yeah. So for these before and after steps, if I tag my whatever the tag that I passed here, only for those scenarios, this piece of code will execute. For example, in real time case, um, I have two different before statements. For example, I have two applications. One is let's code it website, and the other website is uh, banking application. We have two different applications. For example, let me write
Okay.
tagged hooks. So I have two applications, and I want to launch two applications URLs, two apps URLs using Cucumber hooks. So in order to launch my URL, I have to add driver.get method in before step itself. So here we are not doing that step, but we are doing that in login method. User is on bank login page. So whatever the launching of WebDriver object and passing the requested desired URL, the same functionality can be implemented with the help of before tag. So here I have two feature files. One is bank login and the normal login. So I'll tag this
Okay.
particular login as what is that? Let's code login. Let's code it login. So I'll copy the same tag for the below scenario as well. And I have another application called banking login. So I'll for this features, I will use bank login, bank
Okay.
login, bank login. and I wanted to have code for launching the URL in before tag itself, but I need two before tags because I'm using the same code for two different applications. So in such case, what we can do is go to the common steps, copy the before two times, but only difference that you will be seeing is launch.
You're
Let's.
showing some, but unable to see like what you're doing, Mahesh. It's like stuck.
What happened? You're not able to see.
No.
Why?
On which line you're writing, Mahesh?
I'm line number 14. And
I'm unable to see.
you're able to see which line, which file you are in now.
Now I'm in common steps.
Yeah, in common steps only, line number 14 I am writing.
Okay.
Are you able to see the same?
No, like what I have written now, Mahesh.
I just written, I copied this before statement and pasted here.
Okay. You did not write anything, or just pasted?
I written this code name, launch let's code. I just renamed this.
Launch.
Launch
No,
let's
I
code
did.
it.
No, I did. I cannot look this.
Okay, line number 13, what you are seeing? I mean, which
Public
method?
wide setup is there.
Okay, I think there is some delay. Let me stop screen share.
Okay.
Are you seeing now? I'm scrolling up and down. Are you able to
Ah,
see?
yeah. Yeah, now I can see, Mahesh.
Okay. Okay. So with the help of same before tag, I wanted to use the same annotations, but with the different tags. So this tag he is having at the rate. Let's code it login. So this is
Okay.
the for this before I'll give this tag and this equals to expected. Let me delete order one. I don't need this. And the other tag that we have is bank login. So what it does is, for example, I'll give you this statement: system.out.println global before hook executed for let's code it login, and this is executed for bank login. Okay, so whenever you are trying to execute your scenarios with the help of bank login, this before statement would execute and this should not execute because we are passing the tags here for the annotations. This is nothing but tagged hooks. We call them
Okay.
as tagged hooks. Before is a hook and we are tagging that you hook to the some tag. These are the tag hooks, HOOKS. Before and after are nothing but hooks, and we are tagging those hooks with some tags. So this is the concept of tagged hooks.
Okay.
So if I just copy this annotation and put it in my test runner file, bank login. So here I'm just showing the console statement for your reference. Bank login. See, its statement got printed.
Yeah.
Global hook executed for bank login. And you don't see this, the other statement. What is the other statement? Let's code it login. So this statement would not, you will not see. Even though you have two different before statements, only with the help of tags we are segregating, like which before statement would execute for which tag. So this will be handy when your framework has to handle multiple applications, but you have to handle those code in before and before statements itself. Then this will be really very helpful. Okay, if I change my tag to the, let's code it login. I'm just stopping. Yes. That is runner file. Okay, you can see the statement global before hook executed for let's code it login. Even though we have two different before hooks. So this is the concept of tagged hooks. And then we have some other thing called order. Order. For example, I have two different before statements, but I wanted to execute this code first and then this code second. Then I can pass order here. Order equals to 1. Order equals to 2. In real time, this is very rare scenario. I never seen this scenario, but in case if needed, so I have two different before statements, but I wanted to execute those before statements in a sequential order. Then I can pass the order value 1 and 2. And if you execute now with the help of the same tag, now you will see these two statements in console, but the order will be like first this will execute and then this will execute because we are not passing any tags now. So both before tags would execute now.
Okay.
See, first executed global before hook executed and then bank login. So this is the concept of ordering hooks.
Okay.
Eh, any doubts so far?
No, Mahesh.
Okay. So I'll attach this in YouTube and do you want to connect with me and if you are facing any issues?
Actually, I have not added feature file, Mahesh. Like on the day I have called you, right? So that was the last thing I have done on my IntelliJ for the Cucumber project. So once can I share my screen, Mahesh?